Well. Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes or so. Harry Maguire is no longer the Manchester United captain, from himself as well. This isn't rumour, this isn't speculation, this isn't innuendo. It's come straight from the now former Manchester United captain himself on social media. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing well, having a good Sunday afternoon. And here's me thinking it's going to be a quiet one. Here's me thinking not too much going on. It's going to be fairly quiet. We're still waiting. We're still scrolling about Andre Onana, waiting for the here we go today, tomorrow, whenever it's going to come. And I thought today the tactical view that went out earlier on from Cam would be it for today, but oh my goodness no, the ruthlessness from the Manchester United manager himself, Erik ten Hag, continues. Because David De Gea, he's gone. Well, look at these lightning rods at Manchester United. Cristiano Ronaldo, gone. David De Gea, gone. Harry Maguire as the captain, that is no more. It is indeed done. As I mentioned, this isn't rumour, this isn't speculation, this isn't any outlet reporting it. It's the Manchester United, now former Manchester United captain himself, Harry Maguire, dropping the statement on social media just a few minutes ago. At the time of, actually, this is about 20 minutes ago, he went on social media and he tweeted the following. Quote, after discussions with the manager today, he has informed me he is changing captain. He outlined his reasons to me, and whilst I'm personally extremely disappointed, I will continue to give my all every time I wear the shirt. So I wanted to say a massive thank you to the Manchester United fans for all their brilliant support whilst I've been wearing the armband. Since the day I took on the role 3.5 years ago, it's been a huge privilege to lead Manchester United and one of the proudest moments of my career to date. It's one of the greatest honours in club football. I've done everything I possibly could to help United be successful on and off the field. I will always be grateful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for first giving me the responsibility, and I wish whoever takes it on every success, and they have my full support. Harry. So as I mentioned, if you are just joining us, the breaking news in the last couple of minutes or so coming from Harry Maguire himself, he is no longer the Manchester United captain. In addition to that, it wasn't his decision. It wasn't Harry Maguire going up to the Manchester United manager and saying, look, I'm not playing enough, here's the armband, I think it should go to someone else. This comes from Erik ten Hag. He has said this in his statement. The manager has informed Harry Maguire, you are no longer the captain, I've decided to change captains. And this was a report that came out there, about a week ago? Something like that? About a week ago? 10 days ago? Something like that. It might have even been earlier than that. It might have even been more recent than that, rather. Suggesting that Erik ten Hag was going in a different direction. He was deciding to change the captaincy. He was going to decide to change the person that wears the armband, leads the team out to the Old Trafford pitch every single week. Most likely, one would think the person it's going to be is most likely Bruno Fernandes. I think most people assume that's the person it's going to be. But this is not a decision from Harry Maguire. This is a decision from Erik ten Hag himself. He gave it a year. He was one of the first things that he was asked when he came in as the Manchester United manager. What's the situation when it comes to the captaincy at the club? And he said, Harry Maguire is the established captain. And it kind of came across that he didn't want to upset and rock the apple cart too much, did he? Because he had other things that he needed to get right first. After a year of not playing him, after a year of having Bruno Fernandes really be the captain, just not in an official capacity, it looks like it's going to be official. But the only thing official right now, Harry Maguire is no longer the captain right now. Again, he has confirmed that. It's quite interesting, actually, because it also comes on the back of a day of speculation regarding Harry Maguire's just immediate future at Manchester United anyway, suggesting that West Ham United are very interested in possibly purchasing the Manchester United player. As I mentioned, this comes from really credible sources as well. The likes of Sky Sports News, the BBC, Simon Stone. It was come from Sky Sports earlier today, suggesting from the likes of Dharmesh Sheth that West Ham are interested in signing Manchester United defender Harry Maguire. They are exploring the option of both a loan and a permanent deal, but are aware his wages could prove to be a problem. As mentioned, it was also reported from the BBC, Simon Stone, saying that West Ham are interested in signing Harry Maguire. He is known to be among the players at Manchester United that Erik ten Hag would sell now if a suitable offer did indeed come in. What was fascinating about this, and also what is fascinating about Harry Maguire announcing that Ten Hag today has informed him, or at least within the last couple of days, that Ten Hag has informed him he's no longer the captain, is this little bit that came from Simon Stone earlier today when the reports came out that West Ham were interested in him, because Simon Stone tweeted out, or certainly in his article rather, wrote earlier today that Harry Maguire is mindful of needing to play regularly. However, he is known to be happy at Manchester United and is proud of his status as captain. He feels he'll play a full part in United's season after overcoming a number of injury issues last term. Now, at the time when I read that earlier today, I said to myself, injury issues? Yeah, towards the end of the season, he had a couple of injury issues, but the reason Harry Maguire wasn't playing last season had nothing to do with injuries. In fact, towards the end of the season, when we had major injuries at centre-back, Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane, that's the only time he got himself back into the fold. And when Varane came back, Maguire was straight back out again. It was Lindelof and Varane. That was the partnership towards the end of the season. In fact, it was Shaw and Lindelof. It was Shaw and Varane. So it wasn't injury issues that kept Harry Maguire out of the squad, out of the team rather, last season. It was a quality issue. It was a suitability issue. And that goes back to his time as being the Manchester United captain. I think people wanted for it to work when we signed him in 2018. People wanted it to work, £80 million. But in retrospect, it was a terrible decision. It didn't work out. And it became very, very clear that there were major questions about Harry Maguire's quality to be a Manchester United player, let alone to be a Manchester United captain, a leader in the vein of some of the great captains that have come before him. Whether it is your Roy Keanes or your Gary Nevilles, your Manu Vidic, your Brian Robsons, your Steve Bruces, whoever you want to reference, Harry Maguire falls short in that comparison. He will always fall short in that comparison. And Maguire as the captain, as I mentioned earlier on, has always been a lightning rod. It's always been an issue that clearly he is not suited for that role. And as I mentioned, I think that some people kind of raised their eyebrows a little bit at Erik ten Hag when he came in last season. I can't remember if it was in the first press conference he did at Old Trafford or Carrington, whenever it was, or it was the one on tour, because I know that the question was definitely asked whilst he was on tour, and it was that first press conference, I think it was in Bangkok, I think it was in Thailand, and if he wasn't asked it the first one, he was definitely asked it again, and it was, who's going to be the captain of Manchester United? The response was, Harry Maguire's the established captain. And at the time, some people were going, here we go again. Another puppet, another Glazer puppet. Oh, Erik ten Hag, Erik ten the same. It's all the same. And my response at the time was, I just felt like you have to look at his wording and you have to look at his actions. He said at the time, he's the established captain because he is. Didn't mean he was going to play him. When he came on the pitch, they gave him the armband out of respect because that's what he was. But he never said that he was going to be playing him throughout the entirety of the season. And as we always say, people can say what they want in the media, people can say whatever, but really when it comes to the crux of it, the real truth lies in who plays every single week. Actions speak louder than words, and the actions throughout the entirety of last season is Maguire ain't the guy for Erik ten Hag. When it comes to playing or when it comes to being the captain, we all knew. And United were in this strange situation when you think about it, and I'll get to your comments in just a second. But United were in a strange position last season whereby we had this guy who was the established club captain, and every time he came on the pitch, the person would have to hand over the armband, or he would do captain things, maybe, but he wasn't really the captain. He was the captain in name only. He had this other guy in Bruno Fernandes who really was the unofficial captain of Manchester United last season. He was leading the team out every week. He was playing. He was doing interviews. He was playing and acting on the pitch as if he was the Manchester United captain. I just saw him arrive back to training this week, and just the way he carries himself is like a captain-like figure. So you've got this, this dichotomy of this guy, everyone knows he's the captain, but he's not officially the captain, whereas there's this other guy who's not playing, but he's actually the captain of the club, even though everyone knows he's not really the captain. And I think from Ten Hag's point of view, in the next step of his evolution, I've come in, I've done firefighting for a season, I've got rid of people that I think we need to get rid of, like Ronaldo or like David De Gea and others. I'm trying to establish a way I'm playing, and this is just the next evolution of my Manchester United side. Erik ten Hag's Manchester United side is, people that have been here a long time, that are established a long time. It's time for them to go, and it's time for their status to either be significantly reduced or they have to go. And I think that this could be seen as the beginning of the end for Harry Maguire at Manchester United. I think a lot of people had spoken about him possibly going this season. I felt that he might end up staying and try and get a loan in January because of his desire to stay, because of all of these reports suggesting, he wants to stay, he wants to fight for his place, which personally I found completely redundant because his place is gone. We all can see that his place is gone in this United side. They're actively still recruiting centre-backs. He could go even further down the pecking order. So him being stripped of the captaincy, and that's what it is, he's been stripped of the captaincy, really could see as the beginning of the end. couldn't you as well? I'm going to get some of your comments up on the screen as well, because even though there's one person here, it's not a total soliloquy as well here. It's a conversation with you guys. Anish has been a member for a month, says next step, Sal Maguire. Lil Yo with the super chat says Ten Hag masterclass, make Maguire uncomfortable, then he eventually goes. Just needs Southgate to see sense now. Well, this was something I've been saying about the Harry Maguire situation in general, is that my feeling is that Gareth Southgate is responsible for a lot of Harry Maguire's mentality in terms of a desire to stay at Manchester United. For me, Gareth Southgate should have said to Harry Maguire, frankly, halfway through last season, during the World Cup, in the build-up to the World Cup, and maybe just a little bit after it, you're lucky. You're lucky you went to the World Cup, Harry, because had it been a less established player in the England international field, he wouldn't have gone, because he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing all last season, and he had fallen way down the pecking order. He was only playing Europa League games, and coming up this season, even that's not really a possibility for him, because at least initially, United are going to play Champions League games, and Ten Hag isn't going to... He didn't really rotate anyway for Europa League games. So when it comes to Champions League games, big Champions League games, he's not going to be like, oh, we'll put Maguire at centre-back. No, it's what's my strongest team, because it's Champions League football. So even those opportunities are limited to him. And again, this could be just the beginning of Ten Hag saying, look, it's over. I know you want to stay, and I know you want to fight for your place, because you'll never get as high as you are now. You'll never be at a Manchester United level again, but you've got a career. And you've still got games you can play. You've still got tournaments you can go to. And it should be upon, I said, Gareth Southgate, the people around Harry Maguire going, that whole believe in yourself and keep fighting mentality is great, but you also have to see when the writing's on the wall. And the writing's been on the wall a long time, and now losing the captaincy is just the next step of the writing being firmly on the wall for Harry Maguire. So I'm kind of revising my prediction here. Now the fact that he has been stripped of the captaincy, which I don't know if I saw coming, because I didn't know if I thought Ten Hag would, rock the boat that much. Now there's nothing stopping him. There's nothing stopping him from going. And he'll have to take a pay cut. West Ham aren't going to give him, what's he on, like 200k a week and something like that, honestly. West Ham aren't going to do that. But West Ham's a good spot for him. They're a good club. They won a European trophy last season. And they've got money. They've got the Declan Rice money, and with his England situation the way it is, Harry Maguire, all he needs to do is play games, and he'll be in that England squad. Gareth Southgate's looking for a reason to play. Gareth Southgate's looking for an excuse for him to play. So if he goes to West Ham, he'll be playing in the Euros next summer. If he stays at United and doesn't play, then he still might play in the Euros in the summer, but the point being is there'll be a lot more scrutiny. So, and it's in general, for Harry Maguire's career, this is the best thing for him. The spotlight clearly is too much for him, I think, in terms of his performance levels. You look at the Harry Maguire that was playing at Leicester before he came to United, and the Maguire that's since come to United, they look like different players. They do, in terms of sometimes, honestly, and again, for all of this, criticism that he gets, and for all of this, again, things that I feel are over the line, personal sort of attacks that are over the line, sometimes I felt bad for him. Because sometimes I've looked at him play and go, I think he's only doing what he can do, but he's not good enough. And particularly now in this system, he really ain't good enough in this system at this standard to do what Ten Hag wants him to do. And sometimes you feel bad, because I don't think Maguire's going out on the pitch purposely trying to stink up the joint. He's not. Sometimes you're just not good enough, and particularly you're not that figure, you're not that character to hold the burden or feel the weight of the burden of being Manchester United captain. This is the best thing for him. The best thing for Harry Maguire in his career at this stage is to obviously no longer being the captain of United, tick, and the best thing for him next would be to leave. Now, because his status, not that it's been undermined, but, it's over. Everyone knows, despite your best efforts, if you're in a relationship with someone, you really love that person. I'm doing everything I can to make it work. But if it's over, it's over. You know when something isn't salvageable anymore. And that's what it feels like with Harry Maguire and his Man United career at this point. Not only because he's no longer the captain, even if he was the captain, it's no longer salvageable. It's over. That's it. And for all of those reports coming out, I want to stay and I want to fight for my place, and I want to, I'm proud of my status as United captain. It's happened. No one can take that period of time away from you. You were always the United captain from when was it? 2018 until 2023. So for the time that you've been captain, as I mentioned, 3.5 years, no one can take that away from you. You achieved that. Congratulations. You played for Manchester United. No one can take that away from you. Congratulations. But it's time to move on. And that's what Erik ten Hag clearly is trying to do with this team, with this club, is move on. We're on the precipice of a new era at Manchester United, hopefully, whenever this takeover saga does get completed and all that kind of stuff. And it's time for everyone to move on. It's time for everyone to go in a different direction. Look at some of the people that have left over the course of the last 2 years, even the last 12 months, even the last couple of weeks with David De Gea. Things are changing at United, and things are, again, moving on. So, again, if you are just joining us, there's over 2,000 people here watching. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. The latest developing breaking news in the last couple of minutes is that Harry Maguire is no longer the Manchester United captain, and it was a decision made by the Manchester United manager himself, Erik ten Hag. We'll talk about his ruthlessness in just a second, because I do think it should be commended, really. Some people will say that this decision's come too late. This should have happened years ago, and maybe you're right. But once again, just to read out the statement that Harry Maguire has posted to social media, he has said, and I quote, "After discussions with the manager today, he has informed me he is changing captain. He has outlined his reasons to me, and whilst I'm personally extremely disappointed, I will continue to give my all every time I wear the shirt. So I wanted to say a massive thank you to Manchester United fans for all their brilliant support whilst I've been wearing the armband. Since the day I took on the role 3.5 years ago, it's been a huge privilege to lead Manchester United and one of the proudest moments of my career to date. It's one of the greatest honours in club football. I've done everything I possibly could to help United be successful on and off the field. I will always be grateful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for first giving me the responsibility, and I wish whoever now takes it on every success, and they will have my full support. Harry." Again, I think if you wanted to really pinpoint that and do a bit of a thematic analysis to it, the key thing there is, well, there's a couple of key things. As I mentioned, first of all, this has happened today. Obviously, the international players came back yesterday. We had heard, and it had been reported, hadn't it, that discussions about Harry Maguire's future would commence once he returned to training. And it is something that Flex and myself did pick up the other day. I said, despite that, my feeling that he'll stay, which now has changed, I think there's a real good chance he goes now. And again, I think that's the best move for everyone. Sometimes when you come back for that pre-season and someone, the manager or whoever, lets you know their plans, that can change something really quickly. Now you pick up the phone and you go to your agent. How concrete is that West Ham interest? How real is that interest? And who else is interested? Because I feel like I've been undermined. I want to go. And again, that's best for everyone. Now, they says also that Ten Hag outlined his reasons to me. And he also said that he's personally extremely disappointed. And again, whilst I came on here and went live, it was a developing story. It's now being reported by Sky Sports, specifically Damesh Sheth from Sky, big up Damesh, is saying, and it shouldn't come as much of a surprise, Harry Maguire is now considering all of his options, including West Ham, who, as I mentioned, have placed their interest in the former Manchester United captain today. So I think, as I said, this is probably the beginning of the end for Harry Maguire. I mean, it has to be. He says it in his statement. He's personally extremely disappointed. This isn't something he wanted. This is something the manager wanted, and I would say probably the vast majority of the Manchester United fans as well. Whilst he says, I will continue to give my all every time I wear the shirt, I don't know if he's going to wear the shirt in an official capacity ever again. He might. The key thing is now they fly out on Wednesday for that tour of the United States. They fly out Wednesday, and there's hope that Andre Onana is going to be flying out with them because everything will be confirmed by that point. The big question now is, does Harry Maguire fly out with them, or does Harry Maguire fall into the category with, let's say, a Dean Henderson, where they say to him, you stay behind because you've got to figure out a move? The same category as an Eric Bailly and Alex Telles, those people that aren't included in that pre-season tour squad, because the expectation is by the time they come back, they'll no longer be a Manchester United player. So my point is that whilst he can say, I will continue to give my all every time I wear the shirt, is this the last time? Was the end of the season the last time, or whenever his last game was, the FA Cup final, I think, maybe, he was involved in the squad that day, was that the last time he wore the Manchester United shirt, as well as the Manchester United armband as well? I think it might be. I really do. A couple more super chats here. As I mentioned, be sure to click the like button. Let me get a poll in the chat as well. I'll put the poll in the chat, which is... will Harry Maguire leave this summer? I mean, I could put in there, are you happy with the decision? But I think I know the answer. Will Harry Maguire leave Manchester United this summer? And also in the live chat too, let me know, are you surprised by this? Obviously, I think most people would consider it to be the correct decision, the right decision for United. But are you actually surprised? Are you a little taken aback? Because to be honest, when I saw that came through, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that. My thing was, if he was going to go, he'd just go as the captain. He'd be sold to West Ham and we'd find a new captain. The fact that this has happened, I think is again the right move, and I think it's a gentle push in the right direction by Manchester United too. Let's get a couple more of these super chats out the way. First, the members chat from Ed's been a member for 8 months. Appreciate you, Ed. Says, glad he's officially been stripped, but till he's gone, it doesn't mean much. Murto and Arnold need to get him sold. Tired of Deadwood taking up space. Appreciate 8 months of support from Ed. Zayn Miasi's in. Says, Declan Rice is levels above for captain over Bruno. Zayn. I tell you what, I've been a fisherman this weekend because I've been reeling in the bait on Twitter. All I did yesterday was state an actual fact. It's a fact. That's all it is. And the fact is, Scott McTominay has scored more Premier League goals than Declan Rice in 60 fewer appearances. That's all I said. That's an established fact. That is irrefutable. It's a fact. And people got very angry. How dare you? Oh my God. This is what's wrong. You're embarrassing. Oh, your brain's smooth. You're an idiot. Are you really saying that Declan Rice isn't as good as Scott McTominay? Is that what you're saying? You're an idiot. You're a fool. You don't know anything about football. And I said, whoa, guys. I never said that Scott McTominay was better than Declan Rice. In fact, the funny thing about it was as well, is I did that tweet, and underneath it, next tweet in the thread, a minute later, Declan Rice is better than Scott McTominay. But it goes to show that from West Ham point of view, consider McTominay as a bit of a replacement. United should charge at least £40 million. That was my tweet. People can't read. And it's so easy. I mean, it is so easy. I'll come back to this tweet. Also, he's established it or done it in 60 fewer appearances. He's also done it by scoring less penalties than Declan Rice as well. Well, we didn't buy him for goal scoring stuff. It's fine. It's all right. I never said Declan Rice was bad. All I just pointed out. Just the fact. Very touchy, these Arsenal fans. They get very angry. And also, Cecil, if you're ever watching this, I don't recommend a career in rap. You know, actually, to be fair, Cecil, I think you should pursue it. Cecil, you're really good at rapping.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. I lied!
Cecil is a rapper the same way that I'm an Olympic pole vaulter. I don't know if you've seen my physique right now. I don't think I could pull it off. In the same way I don't think Cecil can. But I suppose you can, as long as you
believe.
Gotta believe. Santiago says, we saw his best performances before the armband. Either we will see a better rotation option or we will raise funds for the war kitty. The time is now. Yes, it's been a crazy couple of days on social media. I'm telling you. It really is. And I saw the Urian Timber announcement, and they had us all in there at the start. They had United View. Cecil snuck into UVHQ. Look at this. Timber. We weren't interested in Timber for a year. a year. The story goes of Urian Timber, we were interested. Louis van Gaal picked up the phone. Don't go United. You're not going to play at the World Cup. Okay, he stayed. We went, all right. We got Martinez. They're still very, very unhappy that Martinez chose us over Arsenal. Fact. Again, he picked up the phone. Ten Hag, boss, Arsenal interested. If United want me, I'll go there. All right, come here. Boom. That was it. We weren't interested in Timber. We don't have any money. We don't. I was just watching it. I heard the rap. I was like, oh.
Bloody hell.
It was very, very strange. And it's been a very, very odd 24 hours on social media. But, keep eating the rice. It's fine. I'm very curious to see how well he does. And if you are watching this and you're going to clip it, yeah, Declan Rice is better than Scott McTominay. bombshell statement. I know. I'm going out on a limb today, aren't I? I tell you, controversial here. Declan Rice might be better than Scott McTominay. Maybe. Maybe. You know. But we'll see. All I said is that McTominay has scored more goals. You know, and it's a fact.
Acknowledge me.
That's it. But you're talking about Harry Maguire, going back to it again. Now he's considering his options. Now he's looking at that interest from West Ham, and I would think now, because the only thing that was really holding the Maguire thing back, wasn't it, was himself. That was it. The only thing that was keeping him at United this summer, it felt like, were people were talking about wages. He's on big wages, but that can easily be overcome if Harry Maguire's willing to take a pay cut. If Harry Maguire wants to move, he can move this summer. And now, the fact that he's considering his options, now the fact that he's no longer the captain, because I think he had this strange feeling in his head, well, I'm United captain and I'm very proud of that, so I'm going to stick around. Well, that ain't the case anymore, Harry. And you're not playing. So, and there's interest, legitimate, concrete interest. So, if he's considering his options and he wants to go, there's nothing stopping that move from happening. West Ham, they can't even claim that they don't have money. They just got over 100 million for Declan Rice. I know they haven't got it straight away, but they're getting it in the next, 2 years, something like that. They're getting it fairly quickly, and they're going to be spending. And in fact, when they pick up the phone to try and negotiate for Harry Maguire, and they say, hey, we've heard Harry's not the captain anymore, and we've heard he's considering his options. We've actually had a word with his people, and we know that he's interested. How much is it going to cost? United go 30, 35, 40. Start off 40. In fact, they go, we'll throw in a bit of a package deal for you. 65 million. You can have both Maguire and McTominay. Bump it up to 70, actually. You've wasted my time. Something like that. Why not? Why not? They got money. And this is good for United just in terms of raising those funds, because Mason Mount through the door. Andre Onana, 99.9999999% according to Fabrizio Romano. But still, no, here we go. Here we go, coming today, tomorrow, some point soon, hopefully. But the point is that Mason Mount cost 55. Andre Onana, it's still not really determined. They say 50 million euros. So what's that, like 45 million quid? So we're already about 100 million pounds net. You know, well, take off 850 grand for Zidane. But the point being is we're about 100 million quid we've spent this summer. And reportedly, our budget was like 120 million, something like that, net spend, they were saying. So to get a striker, and I don't know if that striker's Rasmus Højlund, we need to sell. And we need to have some big sales there. We know Dean Henderson, that one's likely to be done, particularly now that Andre Onana's coming in. And they're saying like 30 million. Brilliant. Tick. But if you sell Harry Maguire for 40, you've just raised 70 million. And I know football doesn't work like this, by the way, but because it's not simple maths or anything like that. But Dean Henderson, 30. Harry Maguire, 40. You have saved some wages with David De Gea as well, because he was on 375k a week, so that adds up too. And then possibly you do sell a McTominay or someone like that. Or even just the other people that are probably going to go as well. Tellez. I mean, they were saying the other day that Tellez was going to go to Saudi Arabia for like 15 million. I nearly passed out. I was like, sorry? Well, yes, please, obviously. I don't know if that's going to happen. But even Eric Bailly going, my point is, you could raise at least close to sort of 80 million quid. Something like that. Maybe. That can get you a striker. And hey, if Harry Kane, and I don't want to be that, because I don't think Harry Kane's going to go anywhere. I know Bayern Munich are doing all that kind of thing, saying, oh, he's definitely interested. But if Bayern Munich have an offer accepted for Harry Kane, United have got to try. United have got to try and test the will of Mr. Levy. That's what they've got to do. And even if they don't, sort of 70 to 80 million, that's enough. That's enough to get a striker this year. And that's what we have to do, because that's the priority. I saw Marcel on Twitter yesterday. Let me try and find it, actually, because I don't want to misquote him, but I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted with what he said. It was about, here we go. This is real. This is a real tweet from Mr. Marcel. Warcel's in the chat. It was a tweet that went out on United View socials at United View TV, and it came from the story that Liverpool were interested in Amrabat, and it was coming from The Athletic, so very credible sources, very credible outlet, saying Liverpool are considering Manchester United target Sofiane Amrabat as a replacement for Fabinho if the Brazilian leaves the club. Of course, there have been rumours he could go to Saudi Arabia for 40 million quid, something like that. Marcel quote tweeted it. Warcel's in the chat, saying, quote, getting Amrabat is more important than getting a striker. After Onana, we put in a strong offer on Amrabat, work on outgoings to raise money for a striker.
What?
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Amrabat's more important than a striker, Marcel. I thought I'd read it wrong. I had to, even when I was just going to find it then, I thought maybe I've misread that. Maybe I haven't read that. He's the same one saying get Harry Kane. Amrabat's more important than a striker. We need a striker. That was the most important thing in general. Get rid of Harry Maguire, use the money, get a striker. Even if, because I know there was reports, I think Samuel Lutkus said previously, United are a bit concerned about selling Maguire because if they sell him, they've then got to get a replacement and they've got other things that they want to do. Forget that. Go through the season light if you need to when it comes to defenders. We've already got enough. We can figure it out. We've got Varane. We've got Martinez. We've got Lindelof. You've got Shaw. You can play him at centre-back. It's all right. We can put Casemiro at centre-back. Who cares? We can figure that one out. We need a striker. That's the priority. That's the number one. It went striker, goalkeeper, midfielder. We've got midfielder, goalkeeper-ish, striker. We need a striker. That's our biggest thing. We cannot go into next season and not have a striker. That's what we need. We need a striker. I'm even, slightly concerned, honestly, that we're flying out on tour without one. I know people say, well, Martial's not fit. Again. Like that, and that's going to be the thing for him all season. We can't be naive enough to think that this guy who didn't play 90 minutes throughout a whole season is going to change this coming season. This time he'll get it right. No, it won't happen like that. That's when it's shame on us, because we'd have been fooled again. I'm not saying Martial, in an ideal world, I'd get rid of Martial this summer because, again, he's just not reliable. I feel bad for him because his body's breaking down, but he's not reliable. The only way I'm happy to keep him is if we've got another striker and Martial can just do what he did last season, and that's come off the bench most of the times or play 45 minutes or at most 60, because that's what he did last season. We need a striker. Not to say that it's not important if we don't get Amrabat. I'd love to get Amrabat. Would it hurt if he goes to Liverpool? Of course. It always hurts when a player that you're linked with goes to someone else, particularly a rival. Of course it does. But if that means that we get a striker, I don't care. Like, we have to get a striker. That was our big thing. We're talking about Ten Hag being ruthless and fixing things. And he has fixed things. Last season, he fixed things. He overhauled the midfield, brought in Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. He brought in a new defender in Lisandro Martinez. This summer already, David De Gea's gone, which some people can say is an issue or not, but in terms of the style of play, it wasn't compatible. So De Gea's gone. Onana's coming in. We've got another midfielder in, so we're more versatile midfield and we've got more legs. But the biggest issue that we have to fix is we need a striker. We need goals. We can't have a season, even when it's like, wow, Garnacho's going to play more games this season and Rashi can go up front. We need a striker. We need that bona fide number 9 who knows the position, plays in the position every single week, makes those forward runs, holds the ball up. Basically, Martial, if he was fit the whole time, if Martial was fit throughout the entirety of the season, it wouldn't be an issue. We'd be talking about getting a younger up-and-coming striker in. We'd be talking about spending 20, 30 million, something like that, on a teenager. But we're not. Even the Rasmus Højlund thing's a joke. 80 million. You kidding me? You taking the piss? Of course not. That's what we need. So, again, this is why the Maguire exit's also just as important, because we need to raise funds. We need to make money. we need, as KG said, we need to fuel the war kitty. And that fuel is going to come from the likes of Dean Henderson, particularly the big sellers, Dean Henderson, and possibly Harry Maguire as well. And I know I saw there was a story this morning. I think it came from the Mirror, saying, the Glazers have said that Ten Hag, you're going to have 170 million to spend this summer. They could care less. They could care less what United do this summer. And they're saying about, it's more based on United's going to be less valuable if they don't succeed this season. I thought this thing was going to be done in the next couple of weeks. Why would they care about what happens for the remainder of the season? Shouldn't they be gone by the end of it? Oh, wait, maybe they won't. That's a worry too. The idea that they'd be in touch with Ten Hag, go, don't worry, you're going to have money. They've said, even if Sheikh Jassim came in tomorrow, or Ineos for that matter, the most that they could add to that key is 50 million. And that would have to come from their own pocket. So we saying, right at the tail end of the Glazer era, if indeed they go, suddenly they're going to take money out of their own pocket and put it into Manchester United? Is that what they're really saying? Because that's laughable, because they've never done it. they've never done that at all. So I don't really buy that. What I buy is, if we're going to spend big on a striker, which we need to do, and the market is saying that that's what we're probably going to have to do, you're gonna have to sell. And people like Harry Maguire absolutely fall into that category. And today's good news, not only if you believe, which I do, that he wasn't the right guy to be the captain of Manchester United, but it's also good news that this indicates that he's gonna go, because it's very difficult to stick around once you've been stripped of the captaincy and just slot back in to a lesser role. Not that hasn't happened before. Of course it has. You look at someone like Granit Xhaka. He just left Arsenal this summer. It happened to him. Aubameyang happened to him as well. But eventually they go. Not long afterwards, because it's difficult. It's really difficult to slot back in like that. So, and again, he says he's extremely disappointed. And like I said before, if I was close to Harry Maguire, I'd be saying to him, even before today, you've got to go, mate. You can't sit around. I know it's United, and I know you believe in yourself. I know you believe in your capabilities and your qualities, and that's what's got you to this point. But you also, believing in yourself isn't digging your heels in the sand. Believing in yourself sometimes is taking a risk. Believing in yourself is going, I could do what's comfortable, and I could do what's guaranteed, because he's got a contract for, I think, 2 more years. He's got guaranteed money he's sitting on. He doesn't have to go. You know, United's not going to release him or anything like that, so he doesn't have to go. He could do a Gareth Bale, dig his heels in the sand, and say, sorry, you know, you signed the contract, I signed the contract, I can stay. Believing in yourself sometimes is taking that risk, taking a gamble. As KG once said to Andy Cole, we gambling. You know, that's what I'd say to Harry Maguire, but not in the eyes of the FA, because he can get in trouble for that. Got to be very careful nowadays when it comes to that, you know, in football. You don't want to end up like Ivan Toney. The point being is, you've got to take a risk. And for the sake of his career and his international career, you've got to take a risk. He's got to play. That's it. Let's see if we've got any more super chats here. I think we do. There you go. Kyle says, is there a management comparison? Ollie made Maguire captain as soon as possible, but Erik ten Hag understood the nature of the situation and took his time. I think that's a fair thing to point out, Kyle. I do, because I think, as I mentioned, when he came in last year, Ten Hag, it was one of the first things he was asked by the media in these press conferences. And when he said Maguire's the established captain, he also, from my recollection, and I might be wrong here, but from what I can recall, one of the times I think he said, I think it might have been that second time, he said, I've been here like 6 weeks. I don't know enough to make a decision that big just yet. Some of the players I've only been working with like a week or so, or a couple of weeks by that point when they're on tour. A bit like now. They come back, they work for a week, and then they fly out. So if you cast your mind back to 12 months ago, it's very difficult for him to make that call. He hasn't worked for Harry Maguire before. You've probably spoken to him, seen him for a week. But to make that decision based upon a week, he didn't want to be rash, to your point. He didn't want to be maybe what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was, rash, and then back yourself into a corner that if the player's not performing or is not leading the team the way you hoped he would, you find yourself in a difficult situation and you're having to pick him, not really based on quality, but based on, I don't want to be made a fool out of. So he waited. And he did the smart thing, which is phased him out. Again, Bruno Fernandes was the captain last season, just unofficially. And it would appear, now that this has happened, you get the impression he probably made his mind up a long time ago. When it came to David De Gea, maybe it was a bit more recent. They reckon it was around sort of, March, April, maybe even as late as the FA Cup final. He decided to change his mind on David De Gea. But you get the impression when it comes to Harry Maguire, he made his mind up a long time ago. And whenever he was asked, and this should be something that I think United fans should remember going into this season as well, is that whatever Erik ten Hag is asked in the press conference and whatever he says, don't believe it. Don't, and I'm guilty of that as well. Well, he said in the press conference this. I mean, he is the definition of.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. I
He is, and again, shame on us because I remember the We Talk Ajax guys when just before Ten Hag came in, or maybe just come in, whatever it was. We were sort of, what's Eric like? What does he say? What does he do? How does he handle the media? What's his tactics? And when we were talking about the media, and when we were talking about press conferences, I can't remember who specifically it was. It might have been Juan. It might have been him. Said he will back his players to, the end of time in front of the media. And he will say, we really like him. We love him. We want him to stay. He's going to sign a new contract. He's the captain, blah, blah, blah. But behind the scenes, he's no fool. He sees it. So for all of those times where, even the people that were onto the David De Gea thing really early, how can he not see this? He saw it a long time ago. The Harry Maguire thing, all of us, why is he still the captain? How can't he see this? Is he just a puppet? Is he just a Glazer boy? He said see you later, but no. And it just goes to show those reports about the power that Erik ten Hag has at Manchester United are true. It's his call on everything, which is great. Because for a long time, that hasn't been the case for United managers. Post Sir Alex, we've heard all of these stories about managers wanting one thing, but Ed Woodward wanting another, or the Glazers wanting another, so they didn't get what they wanted, or they got, overruled in these key decisions. This person wanted to let go of this person, but Ed Woodward said, no, he's got to stay, he sells shirts, or I like him, or Joel Glazer says, I like him, or whatever, or Maguire's the captain, so that's just it. No, if Erik ten Hag says Cristiano Ronaldo needs to go, he's off. If Erik ten Hag says, I'm just not sure it's working out, David, I don't think we should renew his contract, he's off. If he says to Harry Maguire, I'm stripping you of the captaincy. Well, I thought, no, don't matter what you thought. I've got my reasons. I can look anyone in the eye. It's Flex's favourite saying. I can look everyone in the eye and be confident of what I'm saying. Forget the actual phrase. It's been muddled a million times. The point being is this guy is ruthless, and we needed a bit more ruthless at United. And as I've said before, to me, watching United last season and listening to some of the things that he said last season and comparing them to how the Ajax team was playing at the end of his tenure there, last season I think was a big compromise to him. Last season was getting his feet under the table, assessing, analysing, and also adapting because he realises, I can't do what I was doing at Ajax here. Some of these players can't do it. Or I can't act the way I would want to, like I was acting at Ajax, because I might not be in a job that much longer. I've got to prove myself. And also, I've just got to wait. I've got to be smart when it comes to this. So I can't play total football out the back. I can't play full-on Johan Cruyff-style football based in Amsterdam straight away in Manchester. I can't pick that up and put that in Old Trafford right now. It's not working. These people can't do it. What I can do is play a hybrid style of where I want this team to go, but also what they're comfortable with the players I've got right now, and be as successful as I can with that. And what it did is it got him third place in the Premier League, it got him a Carabao Cup, and it got him an FA Cup final. And people I know put that, oh, what a martyr. He spent 250 million. Well, all right, that's fine. But this season, good is not good enough. And maybe the one time he was telling the truth in the whole of those press conferences. Good is not good enough. And Maguire is a good Premier League player. He's not a good United player. Harry Maguire, I'm sure, could be a good captain at other Premier League clubs, not at Manchester United. He wasn't suited for that role. It became very evident very quickly. And what would have his career looked like had he not been the captain? I don't know. It did feel like that his career just went even downhill quicker the moment he was made captain at United, because again, the scrutiny was higher. I mean, the pressure was on him anyway. 80 million quid, England international as well. And And it's revisionist history to go back and be like, oh, nobody wanted it. Because I think people were just like, I remember Flex saying when he was on United stand, going, just pay the money, go get him. Because Mourinho wanted him, and then Ole got him, and he had a good World Cup the season prior, and all that kind of stuff. It didn't work out. And when it's not working out, you have to realise we're not getting 80 million quid back. We're not getting that time back. What we can be is ruthless, and we can just go, as the sirens say. That's it. What else have we got here in the live chat as well? Let's get to some of the member comments here. Just Kevin says, I can't. SJ says, what I want to know is Owen playing a wrestling game tonight? I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about playing that on my channel. We've been playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2005, and it's been so much fun. So much fun. But I just feel like as soon as I go live, we're going to get an Andre Onana, here we go, and I won't be able to commit to it. But I don't think it's going to happen today now. So maybe. So be sure to check that out on my channel. Owen Wrestle News 365. 5. Oh, 365. No, not loads of fives. What have we got here? Francium says, 100% Owen. He did well considering he had to adjust his approach to the game. Imagine what Ten Hag could do if he's given all the tools needed. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And I do think it's clear to see that Erik Ten Hag is... there's an argument to be made, really. He's got the most authority and power and pull over decisions maybe since Sir Alex. In terms of the 10 years, because it's a decade since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, there's constantly been these stories, haven't there? Whether it's David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, even Ollie, about these, and Ralph Rangnick, you forget him, the phantom manager, the interim. You forget that all of these people come out afterwards and do these interviews and say, well, I wasn't fully in control. It's a commercial club, and Ed Woodward said one thing to my face and did something else, and this, that, and the other. Now, again, Erik Ten Hag's decision's final. And I think that does come from above him in the likes of John Murtough and Richard Arnold as well, because they're just going by his call. They're going by his decision and what he wants. And I think that also does come fairly in the transfer market too. I mean, this is the thing I've said as well when it comes to the transfer situation at United. You can't argue last summer that Erik Ten Hag didn't get players he wanted. Obviously, the summer window, you can't ignore the timeline of it. It was a shambles, with chasing Frankie de Jong all summer when he didn't want to come, losing the first 2 games of the season, then getting Casemiro, then overpaying for Anthony, which we're still paying for today, metaphorically and actually and literally. You can't ignore that. But this summer, he really wanted Mason Mount. We got him. He wanted Andre Onana, not David De Gea. It had been arguably, it might have been a cheaper option to keep De Gea and buy another player that wasn't a goalkeeper. No, Ten Hag wanted Onana. We're getting Onana. And he didn't want Harry Maguire to be the captain, so he stripped another captaincy. And I think also, this is when being a really good man manager comes into it too, is that he's probably read the room. I think he probably realizes, how much pushback am I going to get? Am I going to get any pushback? Am I going to get any pushback from inside the dressing room? Am I going to get any pushback from within the club if I take the captaincy of Harry Maguire? Because it's a loaded decision. Whilst us as a fan base, whilst 99.9% of us can say good call, right call, overdue, now we move on, and now Maguire goes, you never know what personal relationships are like inside the club, and you've got to be ruthless. You've also got to be mindful of that kind of stuff as well. And I think he would have realised now at the point there probably isn't going to be much pushback, and 2, even if there is, no one's got bigger authority than him. There is no one player at Manchester United under contract right now that's bigger than Erik Ten Hag. Nobody. And again, that's something that maybe hasn't been said for a long time at United, particularly in the last decade. There have been players that have been perceived to be bigger than the club or bigger than the manager. That is not the case right now at United. Erik Ten Hag's the biggest person at that club, which again is a key thing too. He realises that he's managed to assert his authority on not only just this team, but this overall club. He controls everything now. That's why he overhauled the academy structure last year as well, saying, well, where I'm from, in Ajax, I oversee everything, not just the first team, but also the reserves team and the under-20s team and the under-18s and this, that, and the other. And he's overseeing everything. Again, he's fully in control of this club. And today's just another example of how in control he is, in that he can go up to Harry Maguire and say, a day back, welcome back, you're no longer captain. Why? I don't think you're right for it. We're going with someone else. And in the last sort of 10 minutes or so, before I do wrap things up, I mean, it feels fairly obvious, doesn't it, that who the replacement would be for Harry Maguire. The vice captain right now is Bruno Fernandes. So logically, the vice captain would become the permanent captain. Bruno would take the armband. Is there any chance it could be anyone else? Let me know your thoughts about that in the live chat. Is there any chance that there's a curveball being thrown here and it's not Bruno Fernandes? And even if it is Bruno Fernandes, who's going to be the new vice captain? That's a big question too. Because previously, it might have been David De Gea. De Gea's gone. Maguire's gone. So if Bruno's number 1, who's number 2? Who's number 3? I think Bruno gets it. Because he's basically the captain anyway, so I don't think it's much of an adjustment. And I think that's probably part of Ten Hag's thinking too. You know, there's no real adjustment. I'm not going to give it to someone who's never been captain before or anything like that. It's easy. But the number 2, that's an interesting one. Let's see what you guys are saying, actually, as well. Lil Yo says, just over 600 likes. Let's get it to 700. Yes, let's. Mr. Darkside says Varane. Morta says Casemiro close second. Araya says Bruno or Casemiro. CJ says only other is Martinez. Leacher. It must be said, when I saw that video of him greeting Mason Mount on his first day and interacting with Mason Mount's family, it felt kind of very captain-ish, didn't it? Lil Yo says maybe Varane is vice-captain. Mike saying Casemiro. Tarakul saying Leacher, Casemiro as well. Well, maybe okay. Let's put a poll in here. Let's put a poll in the chat. And also as well, the key thing too is that any really successful team has multiple sort of unofficial captains. There's one person that has the armband, another person that's the unofficial, the vice captain, and the rest you have to have leaders on the pitch. Again, you look at these successful United teams throughout the years. It wasn't just Roy Keane as well. You had David Beckham, you had Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville. The list goes on and on of Peter Schmeichel. People that, whilst they didn't have the armband every game, they could easily step up if needed. You need multiple big personalities. Let's do a multi-person poll here. So, assuming Bruno's going to be the captain, let's see who's going to be the vice captain. Who should be the vice captain? And yes, I'm one of those people that has to read out as I type everything. So let's have contenders, right? People are saying Casemiro. People are saying Varane. People are saying Martinez. And who could be the fourth person? Because I only have 4 options on that list. I think maybe you put Rashford in there. Maybe. I think maybe you put. Some people are saying Shaw. I don't know if I see Shaw as that kind of leader-like figure, though, to be honest with you. I think he's got tenure. I think he's the longest tenured player at the club right now, I think. But I would probably put Rashford in there over Shaw, honestly. I'm just thinking of also players that I don't know if has Luke Shaw ever actually captained United, even for like a few minutes? Unless I'm wrong. I can't remember that. But there you go. Poll is in the chat. The question is, who should be the vice-captain? You've got Casemiro, you've got Varane, you've got Martinez, you've got Rashford there as well. And lots of people saying Luke Shaw, which I'm quite surprised by, actually, with that. And by the way, I saw some people saying Mason Mount. We've just done, given someone even a vice-captaincy after just signing for the club. I'm not sure that'd be the right move to make Mason Mount. He's already got number 7. He just got number 7. I think he can take a chill pill for a while. But yeah, he says Ten Hag. He said Shaw is in the leadership team. That would be true, but I just don't know if someone like Luke Shaw needs to be captain. I'm not sure. But it's going to be interesting actually in that list. Again, it's just gone in there now. We've already got nearly over 200 votes. Woody Wood says you forgot none of the above. Maybe I should have put that in. What's very interesting is already, just straight out of the blocks, no one's really feeling Rashford as the captain. Why is that, out of curiosity? Is that just out of, look, he hasn't committed to a new contract yet as well? Is that what people are kind of feeling? We have seen Rashford wear the armband a couple of times. You can't forget that. And again, I think it's fairly obvious Bruno's going to be captain. And to be honest, we're saying about who's going to be the vice-captain. It's going to be very, 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 very rare that any of the people on this list will actually wear the captaincy unless Bruno goes off, because Bruno doesn't miss games. Yeah, he does not miss games. We saw last season, he never misses game. Very rarely. It's got to be suspension. Even when he was in a big boot and everyone went, he's not going to play. Played the next game against Spurs. So it's going to be Very unlikely, I suppose, but you never know. And also, there might be some games, particularly maybe those cup games that Bruno isn't involved in, but he even tends to be involved in some of those cup games as well. But as of right now, even just a minute in, some people are saying that Casemiro is the favourite of who they'd like to see the vice captain, which I wouldn't be. To be honest, anyone on that list, I wouldn't be against. I mean, I think it might be a bit unlikely that that Rashford would probably get it. Honestly, I look at those three in Casemiro, Varane, Martinez, and see more leadership qualities in them. With people like Casemiro, experience. Again, they're players that where the way they play is that kind of leadership style, the way you look for. And it's in different ways, because leadership comes in many different ways. You've got captains that are like, your Roy Keanes or your John Terrys that, they'll be vocal on the pitch and they'll talk to you and all that kind of stuff. And then you can have captains like people like, Gerrard. I'm thinking of Premier League quality captains that really lead through performance as opposed to screaming and shouting or anything like that. And I think you've got that in those three there. You've got Casemiro, who is, you see him fairly vocal on the pitch, I suppose, but I think his leadership's more for his performance. You've got someone like Martinez, who's very vocal and very much, I mean, we joked, didn't we, about the fist bumps and the high fives and all that kind of stuff, and he's that kind of leader. And Varane is maybe more of a leader in terms of just composure, maybe in terms of, again, just being cool, calm and collected too. But as of right now, nearly 500 votes into this poll, which again is very interesting. Who should be the vice captain? Casemiro, Varane, Martinez, Rashford. At the moment, Casemiro is on 46%. Varane and Martinez are neck and neck at 24%. Marcus Rashford all the way down at 5% as well, which again is quite curious. But still, some people in the chat saying Luke Shaw. Mr. Miracle says, Luke Shaw, easily vice-captain. He has all the qualities as a deputy, which again is very, very curious, because I remember when Luke Shaw signed that new contract, and this is what's wrong with Man United. This is what's wrong with the club. He's not good enough. He's been at the club nearly a decade, and what's he really done? Rah, rah, rah. And now he should be vice-captain. And it goes to show people's opinions can change so quickly. A couple of more super chats here as well. All Elite's been a member for 10 months. Says, Owen, we should be voting on the captain. For me, Bruno isn't it. Big game Cass for me. Role model, strong mentality, and standard bearer. Glory, glory, United view. Well, the only reason I didn't put that in for the poll is because I think that as much as maybe we could vote on it, I think it's fairly obvious where it's going to go. Whether you like it or not, I think it'd be stunning if Bruno Fernandes wasn't named as the United captain, purely because of what we've seen last season. What would Bruno think, really? I mean, he's just signed, not long ago, he signed a new contract with the club too. If he didn't get the captaincy, and this would go into Ten Hag's thinking too, if he didn't get the captaincy, he would see that as a massive slight against him, wouldn't he? A huge one. He'd be like, I basically captained you last season. And I did all the captain stuff last season. You've got rid of the guy that's the established captain, and you don't give it to the vice captain. I think he'd be very like, not that he'd consider his future, but I think he'd be very much like, wow, that's a bit of a diss on him. So again, I don't even think it's up for vote. I think he's gonna get it, and I don't have an issue with Bruno Fernandes being captain. I know people do, talk about the moaning and they talk about, the whinge and all that kind of stuff. Do I wish he would do less of it? Yes, of course I wish he would do less of it. But I also don't want to change him, as he said. I don't want to change his personality. And for those people that will say, Bruno's rubbish, he's this, he's that, you can't argue what he's done since he came into the club in 2020. You can't. Do I wish sometimes he played better in big games? Yeah, of course. But in terms of leadership qualities, I do see a leadership-like figure within him, and I do see a want to win from him as well. And as I said, I would be stunned if he wasn't named the captain. I think the bigger conversation is who would be named the vice captain. And in the poll right now, it seems that the favourite in terms of the people voting, nearly half of the vote has gone to Casemiro, which I'd be totally behind. Absolutely, I'd be massively behind Casemiro being the vice captain for Manchester United. I think that would be the right move. I really do. But there you go, guys. That is the latest news. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. How many likes are we on at the moment, actually? Let's have a look. 666. Oof, that's a bit ominous. We get it to 700, so we're not doomed in terms of the pot. I wasn't expecting that. I just could see initially a 6, and I thought, oh my god. I was like, woo. That was
disgusting.
Well, it was more actually.
Oh, blimey.
More of that. More, all blimey. So there you go, guys. That is the latest news. Actually, whilst you're still here, I'll read out the statement once more for people that are just joining. They might have come really late. I do see those people say, I've just tuned in. What's happened? So, if you are just tuning in, the news in the last hour is that Harry Maguire is no longer the Manchester United captain. He has released a statement on social media saying, and I quote, after discussions with the manager today, he has informed me he is changing captain. He outlined his reasons to me, and whilst I'm personally extremely disappointed, I will continue to give my all every time I wear the shirt. So I wanted to say a massive thank you to the Manchester United fans for all their brilliant support whilst I've been wearing the armband. Since the day I took on the role 3.5 years ago, it's been a huge privilege to lead Manchester United and one of the proudest moments of my career to date. It's one of the greatest honours in club football. I've done everything I possibly could to help United be successful on and off the field. I will always be grateful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for first giving me the responsibility, and I wish whoever now takes it on every success, and they will have my full support. Harry. Now, obviously, there were links to West Ham earlier today prior to this announcement being made, and the latest news regarding those links is now Harry Maguire is assessing all of his options after being stripped of the captaincy by the Manchester United manager. So there you go. Again, that's the developing news. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. You never know. I might be live again later on this evening. We are still waiting with bated breath. We're still waiting for the...
Here we go!
Regarding Andre Onana to Manchester United. It's 99.9999999% with an extra 9%, 0.9% done. And the expectation is he will fly out with Manchester United for the United States preseason tour. But until we get that, here we go. We're still just waiting. But once we get it, I'll be here. You don't have to worry about that. So if you haven't already, subscribe. Click the notification bell. Click the notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live or a new video is uploaded as well. I've also been informed that I've missed a super chat. Here we go. Here we go. Not that one. Lil Yo says, if Casemiro's English is good enough, then it works, regarding him being the vice captain. And also a reminder to check out the tactical view. Cam dropped that earlier today here on the channel. It's well worth a watch. It's all about how Mason Mount can fit in to the Manchester United team under Erik ten Hag. So well worth a watch. I'm sure there'll be one with Andre Onana coming soon. And check out all of the stuff that we did in Oslo the other day, Norway. Another pre-season friendly coming up Wednesday. I'll be live in the... We still haven't figured out a name for it. I'm still thinking. I'll be live for that, and we'll have full coverage of that. So big up to everyone for tuning in, and you never know. I'll be back very, very soon. So transfer season, pre-season, you can't beat it. What you can do is tune in next time we're live. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Peace.